All right, everyone, happy Tuesday. I'm going to pop on here live just a couple minutes early to give everyone the opportunity that wants to be here live for this masterclass, this workshop, whatever resonates in your soul and you want to call it that. So we'll just give folks just a minute to settle in. But as you pop on live, just let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're here. Let me know how hot it is where you are right now, because let me tell you, I have never been so hot in my entire life as I have been today. Everything's good on Facebook. All right, so right at the top of the hour, I am so excited to be on here chatting with you all this evening. This is something that I felt was really, really timely. So many folks feel the pressure that summer is here, that they need to be doing something really specific, or they're not doing anything at all. And so I really want to offer you the opportunity to leave our time together this evening with a goal that you can sit with and feel good about this summer. I want to help you visualize the plan, what that's actually going to look like for you, how you can actually implement, right? There's no good in having a goal if we can't reinforce that goal with how we're actually going to manifest it into our lives, into actual results that we are seeking. And the last piece that I want you to leave with this evening is the opportunity to understand how to take where you are or where you're striving to be and that momentum, and to be able to marry it with memories, right? So many summers, I see so many women torn between I either making memories or I'm working towards my health and nutrition goals. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so I want to offer you a different perspective. I want to offer you a different understanding of what it looks like to stay, quote, on plan over the summer. And I want you to leave this workshop, masterclass, whatever, feeling really good and really clear about where you are and having a plan to get you to where you want to be. Labor Day is always my cutoff for summer, but that can be whatever you want it to look like for you. So as you pop on live, I would love to hear what's one big takeaway that you're looking for from this experience this evening. One big takeaway, one reason that prompted you to say, I need to carve out time to attend this workshop. And if you're watching the replay, just hit the hashtag replay and let me know, what was the big reason? What are you dreading about summer when it comes to nutrition and fitness? What are you frustrated about? What are you overwhelmed with? And, feel comfortable being seen, being heard here, because I know I've spent many, many summers feeling like I had to make really hard choices about having the body that I wanted, having the confidence that I wanted in the swimsuit, or being able to enjoy summer cookouts, vacation food, all those different things that come along with summer. Being able to sit by the pool with my kids and just actually relax. Actually, funny story, my husband told me over the weekend, he actually told me that I need to relax. And he said the exact words, it's like, you just have a really hard time doing that. And it also just sparked memories in my head of how often I've been to hang out by the pool with my kids and being like, I need to be doing something. And so if any of this resonates with you, then I want you to know that you are in the right place. And so what I want to start with, I'm going to be checking the comments on my phone. 95 degrees. Whew, it's been 90 here, but I'm also 8 months pregnant. So this is not an experience that I knew that I was going to have during this pregnancy. I mean, I knew it, but you don't know it till you know it. All right. So popping in, we're going to start off with, we're just going to go down our bullet points. So 3 main phases or experiences that I want you to have within this workshop. We're going to start at the very beginning. We have to know where we're going. And so the thing that I know to be true about setting goals, especially this time of year, right? This is a different season. Yes, it's a season nature-wise, but it's a different season life-wise, is we have the tendency to create self-defeating goals. And what do I mean by that? We feel this pressure, it's hot, clothes are coming off, we're putting on the swimsuit, we're putting on the tank tops, we're putting on the shorts. And so we start to get really self-conscious about our bodies. And so in our heads, we start to feel the pressure to change our bodies. And if at any point throughout this chat, if this is resonating with you, give me a thumbs up, let me know. And so when we feel this pressure to change our bodies, we feel the pressure to act and act quickly. It does not help that we have the marketing behind, well, if you do this, I actually shared, we've been cleaning the garage out. I shared on Instagram a couple of days ago, I found a really old Jillian Michaels DVD. So any of you guys that think that I haven't been there, definitely have. And it was like a 2-week shred. And I got a good laugh at it at that moment. I also threw it away rather than passing that on to someone else at like Goodwill or something like that. But I understand that there is this deep mindset and belief that we have to do these things to get these really rapid results. And so what happens time and time again is we find ourselves self-sabotaging, we feel the self-defeat, we feel the shame and the guilt because that DVD didn't line up with what it promised, right? And so rather than us being able to pull apart the fact that the DVD was full of lies, we feel poorly about ourselves. We feel poorly about ourselves being able to show up for ourselves. Well, it must be my willpower, it must be my discipline, all these different things. And in reality, if we can actually step back and say, this is a different time in my life, perhaps my goals can shift as well, right? There's nothing wrong with changing your goals based on where you are in the season of your life. And the things that I'm going to share with you in this workshop in our time together tonight is not something that's just unique to summer. This is something that you can use when Thanksgiving rolls around, Christmas rolls around, right? Spring break, it doesn't matter. But understanding that there's a time and a place for certain goals is important because there is nothing is more damaging to your mindset, your emotional body, and even your physical body than continuing to set these goals that aren't realistic. They're self-defeating. Because what I know to be true, in order to have motivation, in order to create the consistency that we need to have the habits and behaviors that it takes to create the transformation that we want, we have to have wins along the way. Motivation is not something that you just turn on. Motivation is not something that you're going to increase by reading a book. Motivation is not something that you can just, sit here and grimace and say, like, I've got this. Motivation is an emotion. Motivation comes from you getting results, and your results come from these little wins that you're getting along the way. And how do we actually create these wins? We have to set goals that are going to allow us to do so, rather than goals that are setting us up to fail. And so what I know to be 100% true from being in the coaching space for over a decade, from coaching hundreds of women at this point, that we perceive that we're going to get to our goal faster if we can just work a little bit harder, if we can create a little bit more discipline, if we were just a little bit more motivated, if we could just rein it in on the next vacation. And we do that cycle again and again and again and again. It's another form of the yo-yo, right? Has anybody else been there, or is it just me? Because I definitely have been there many, many summers. Just try a little bit harder, want it a little bit more. Actually, some of you guys may be tired of hearing this. All of my clients have heard it. I sent out an email about it, talked about it on the podcast last week. One of my one-on-one clients in her check-in last week was sharing an experience with me that she had a year ago, last summer, with another coach who told her that she just needed to want it bad enough. And this is the mentality, this is the mindset that keeps us in the yo-yo. Well, I didn't get that because I didn't want it bad enough. And it's just not true. And so in this society of work harder, get it faster, We feel like that's the missing link. And I'm here to tell you tonight that your missing link is not to work harder and want it more. Your missing link is to set goals that you can achieve. And so the perception, and I know I'm just going to pull that energy out, well, that's not going to get me anywhere, right? Making these smaller goals, these more realistic goals is not going to get me anywhere. Here's how it will. Here's how it will. And first of all, before I get into how it will, I want you to take a moment to step back, look at the big picture, and be honest with yourself. How often has you forcing yourself to have more willpower, more discipline, more motivation, to work harder, to want it more? How often has that worked for you? And I'm willing to bet a whole lot for most of you that it hasn't. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to me speak right now. And that's the truth. And the quicker that we can realize what is factual versus what the industry has conditioned us to believe, the quicker we can get through the muck and get to the truth of, I need a different approach, I need a different way. And so in order to get a different result come Labor Day, or whenever school starts back, or whenever you want to deem the end of your summer, in order to have a different result than you have any other summer, we need to approach things differently. We need to create, yes, I am not going to stand here and tell you it's summer, you don't need a goal, just, pay attention to what you're eating, listen to your body, and move your body. That's not what I'm going to tell you. I promised you a strategy, and I'm going to give you a strategy. But in promising you a strategy, I want this strategy to be, for the first time ever, something that you leave this workshop feeling ooey gooey good inside and excited to say, I can actually do that. I can actually do that. And when your preconditioned mind starts to give you the stories around how it needs to be more, it needs to be harder, you're capable of more, I want you to remind yourself that that's just a story. And if that crap would have worked, it would have worked last summer. It would have worked the summer before. And what's going to get you to your result faster is to be able to step back, to take a breath, and to really set a goal that is meaningful, that is sustainable, that is doable, and that is satisfying. I have a 3E formula that I share with my clients. This is the 3 E's that we go through anytime we're setting up something big. And this is something that you can cross-reference. And I'm going to give you some prompts to help you dig into what a meaningful goal is going to be for you for this season of your life. But the 3 E's are, of course, the goal needs to be effective. So looking at the seasonality of this goal, if your long-term goal is, now I don't assume that anyone that comes to listen to me speak, that comes to a workshop, that comes into my program, is just there to lose weight. You might be there to build muscle. You might be there to get off of medication. You might be there just to change your relationship with food. There's multiple different reasons that people would want to focus on a nutrition and fitness goal. But for the sake of time and without going into a bunch of different things, I know a lot of you right now are really focused on a weight loss goal. And so looking at the bigger picture, perhaps your goal is to lose 20 pounds. And so looking at the seasonality of things, summer being, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever, is that goal the most important thing right now? Because you want your seasonal goal to be effective towards that bigger goal. So perhaps 20 pounds is, and I'm just throwing out numbers, 20 pounds is your big goal. Do we want to focus on a 20-pound goal over summer, or could we find a seasonal goal that's effective in getting us towards that larger goal? The second piece of the 3 E's, first one being effective. The second one is effortless. Now, Some people get excited when I use that word. Some people start rolling their eyes. So they're one of the two. So let me explain. I don't necessarily mean easy. One of my personal mentors, Dr. Jay Tita, I'm still waiting for the hat. He has this saying, easy is earned. And so one of the big things that I work on with my one-on-one clients is creating ease within their nutrition and fitness so that when they're done, they have a lifestyle and not just some diet that they can check off that they accomplished. Ease comes through effort, but when looking at creating a goal that we want to accomplish in a season of carefree vacation, if we create this big goal that has like so much effort, there's so much resistance between you and that goal, what's the likelihood that you're actually going to do it? I'm going to give you the answer to that question. It's very, very small, and here's why. Just from looking at the way our brain is wired, you can look at it. I always use the example of laundry. Laundry is mine. Never want to do laundry. I can throw things in the washing machine, put them in the dryer. Never want to fold stuff and put it away. It's a basket sitting on my bed right now. Never want to do it. And so I can set goals around putting that laundry away all day long. But it's not enjoyable for me. It's not effortless. There's probably lots of things that are effective there. But my point being is our brains, it's the same as going to work. Like we know we have to go to work, but we don't get super excited to do it, right? And so when you're on vacation or friends calling up and saying, let's take the kids to the pool today, or you're headed out to the lake and you have this goal that's really got a lot of friction and resistance, your brain automatically says, honey, that's hard. I don't want to do it, right? And so by looking at that and understanding that and recognizing that, if we can check the effortless box, again, that doesn't mean that it's something that we don't think about, not something that we don't have to change, none of that. But looking at that, effortless kind of looks at how can I match this to what I'm already doing, right? And so that's a big thing. That's one of the big gaps that I see in the nutrition and fitness industry is that we make our nutrition, we make our fitness another item on our to-do list. Who here gets excited about their to-do list? Aside from writing things on your to-do list that you've already done, so you get to check that off. That's me too, right? We don't get excited about that. Some coaches will say, put it on your calendar, just like you do an appointment with your boss, a dentist appointment. Who gets excited to see things on their calendar? I don't. Frankly, I will tell you, I have to keep a color coordinated calendar to keep my everything organized for myself, but I choose my colors very intentionally because of the way it triggers my mentality about it. But if I wake up or even go to bed and look at my calendar and there's 1,000,005 things on it, it starts to make me anxious. And that's not the kind of energy we want to come into a goal that is supposed to give quality of life to us, right? So checking that box. The third piece, this is where you're really going to get tripped up, is making it enjoyable. And so really thinking, again, noticing the mindset you have around certain ideas, certain tasks, and how can you pick something, pull it back a little bit smaller and make it exciting and enjoyable. It's like the different ways that we create for our children to do chores or when you're potty training, right? And you've got little treats and things like that. We don't want to treat ourselves, with food and things like that, but we're trying to bring a sense of enjoyment. And this works on a psychological level, works on an emotional level, and works on a physical level. But again, just thinking, using the vacation as our frame of reference, you're on vacation. Here's the beach. You're on a cruise ship. Whatever your vacation is, I'm getting ready to go to a lake. Whatever that is, the attractive piece, the effortless and enjoyable piece, not necessarily effective, is over here in the lounge chair, maybe by the bar, maybe at the restaurant. And so recognizing that that's the competition, we need to set goals where we can say, yeah, there's probably going to be some resistance. There's probably going to be some friction. but it needs to be so that I can work past that in order to accomplish what's meaningful for me. So as I go through this, if there's any questions that just pop up, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I will definitely scroll back through before we wrap up this workshop. So working with that framework, I want you to pause. And again, I'm leaving this replay up. So if it's helpful for you to come back and listen to the replay and kind of skip and scroll and actually hit the pause button, then you're more than welcome to do that. But I want you to pause and think of what a meaningful goal would be for you at the end of this summer. What is something that you would deem valuable to have accomplished by the end of your summer, whatever that date is for you? And again, this is unique to you. For some of you, it's literally just maintaining what you've been working on for the past several months. For some of you, maybe you're just now finding the inspiration to start to pay attention to your nutrition and fitness. And so I want to urge you, as you feel the need to make this goal really large, really extreme, to pull it back a little bit. Because the second question I'm going to ask you is the most important one. Is how do you want to feel throughout the summer, at the end of the summer? Again, I'm going to use Labor Day. When you wake up on Labor Day, how do you want to feel? This is an important question that you may not be able to answer just within the constraints of this workshop, because this is not a question that the coaching industry, the dieting industry, that the fitness industry consistently asks. Constantly asking, how do you want to look? How strong do you want to be? What size do you want your pants to be? And when we dig a little bit deeper, there's a deeper meaning behind what we want to accomplish. And so getting clarity around how we want to feel is often the first step of actually uncovering how we want to look. And when you look at your goal and you say, okay, this is my goal, this is a good one, I want you to ask yourself, what will you have changed by accomplishing this goal? And so as you move forward into fall, new school year for those with kids, or if you're a teacher, or just a new season, for some, what will be different? What will be different about who you are as a person? What type of habits, behaviors, thought patterns will have changed? And lastly, once you accomplish this goal, what will you no longer have to experience or put up with? And I encourage you, as we create this sustainable, satisfying goal that is not self-defeating, that you go through this a couple of times. Maybe sleep on it. Ask yourself, hey, is this something that I'm actually really, really excited about? And this is going to carry us into the second piece. Once we have a goal, we have to know how to get there, which means we actually have to have a plan, a strategy, if you will, a roadmap. I like to use the word roadmap. It's a little bit more exciting. I'm just saying plans, strategies, especially if you're a teacher and you've just come out of all these plans and things like that. So looking at the roadmap, how the heck are we going to get there? This is a really powerful exercise. It's going to be really helpful in you solidifying that goal and clarifying what you're willing to do to get there. And The only way that you can do this wrong is to attach criticism or judgment around it. And that's something that I see, not only when it comes to judging our bodies around the summertime, right? We're really good at that. Actually, one of my coach friends was sharing earlier today as she was getting new bathing suits. She was like, I feel 10 out of 10 when I'm naked in my clothes. I put that bathing suit on and I drop it down to a 4. And she's like, I have no idea why. But it's really, really common. And so there's a lot of criticism and judgment that we're feeling around this time. Not only does it show up in our bodies, it shows up in, judging ourselves for participating in certain events or not participating in certain events. I was chatting with my clients last week about comparison trap. And I had a client in this week's check-in reflect how she noticed that her summer social drinking very much was that she was comparing herself. Somebody has a drink, I have a drink. So there's all these different little mindset traps that we get trapped in. And so I don't want you to get trapped in that within this exercise. It's really simple, really, really powerful. It's a do-don't list. So in order to make a goal a reality, we have to be willing to be honest. So let's back up for a moment and let's talk about the big dial movers for actually making change. We need to be curious rather than judgmental. We need to be open and vulnerable. We need to be willing to look at our faults. We need to be looking at our true self rather than blame seeking and fault finding. We need to be curious. We need to be vulnerable. And we need to be willing to be compassionate with ourselves. And so that's kind of the framework for setting ourselves up for success, right? And I want you to pause for a moment again and ask yourself, when it comes to setting goals, when it comes to trying to change your health, your fitness, your life, your body, how many times do you come at it from a perspective of, oh, I'm curious, oh, I'm vulnerable, and I'm compassionate? Most of the time we come from a place of, I'm critical, I'm judging myself, my self-esteem is low, I feel like crap, and I'm just going to bully myself into changing something, right? Again, raising my hand, that was me. And so looking at our goal from that lens, we have to understand that we have a scale of ready, willing, and able. And so this is just layering on to creating this goal that is sustainable and satisfying and not self-defeating. So there's a lot of goals that we get excited about and we are ready for. We may even step over into the I'm willing to change to get there. Willing to say no to something so I can say great yes to a greater thing, right? Because every no is a yes to something else. Every yes is a no to something else. And then there's the able piece. And that's the piece that we get tripped up on a lot. What are you actually able to do, right? Again, this goes at looking at the seasonality thing. If you've got kids running through your house, you're traveling a whole bunch, you're by the pool, are you actually able to do this, some of the things that you perceive that you have to do in order to be successful? Probably not, unless you're rolling around a cooler full of, Tupperwares of pre-done meals, which again, been there. But when we look at the ready and willing aspect, this exercise of a do-don't list is really powerful and really transformative of how you're going to look at what you're actually willing to change in this time in your life. So when we look at our goal, whatever that is, and I'm purposely being vague here because I don't want to put any of my ideas in your head, right? I want this to truly be something that's meaningful and transformative for you. But when we look at this, we create this do-don't list around this is what I'm unwilling to do this summer. Starting with the don't side. I don't want to do this. And you can put whatever you want on there, right? Really look at the big picture. This is what I perceive to be necessary to accomplish this goal. These are the things that I don't want to do. And that creates so much space over here on the other side to list out the things that we do want to do, right? And so typically when we're really honest with ourselves, that don't list is pretty long. And that really reins it in on that do list and really gives us a lot of clarity around this is what I'm actually ready to do. This is what I'm actually willing to do. And then we can cross-reference that with, well, is this something that we're capable of doing in this time frame? Are we capable of doing this with what's going on for us personally right now, with our life, with what our personal preferences are, with what we want to accomplish? You can cross-reference it against the 3 E's: effective, effortless, enjoyable. And that gives you so much room to say, this is what I want to feel. This is the experience that I want to have for myself this summer. And so for some of you, you perceive that you have to track every morsel of food that you put in your mouth in order to be successful. Some of you perceive that if you haven't been working out, you need to start working out and need to work out 10 times harder in order to look good for that beach vacation coming up. But if you're allowing yourself to be like really curious and really honest and really vulnerable about what you want for this summer, a lot of you are probably going to put that you don't want to run 3 miles a day when it's 90 degrees, that you actually want to be able to go to and enjoy ice cream with your kids and not have to track every little thing, right? And so really giving yourself the space to recognize where the things that you perceive are necessary for your plan, the things that you perceive that are necessary for your success fall on that don't list, and reminding yourself, well, that's just signaling like alarm bells to my brain. Don't do it. You don't want this. This is not the experience that you're trying to create. And so by working towards our goal based off of items that are located on that don't list, you're not changing your habits, your behaviors, your health, your body, anything from the place that truly matters. The place of compassion, of empathy, of deep health, of well-being. You're coming at it from a place of punishment, restriction, deprivation. I have to make myself do these things because if I can just make myself do these things, I'm going to feel so much better. And I'm not even going to go into coaching experience here. I'm going to tell you from personal experience how many years I attacked my body, punishing it in order to try to manipulate it into something that I thought was going to make me a different person, a happier person, a more successful person. And it never happened. It never happened. I will tell you from personal experience, my health declined, my mindset declined, my mental health declined because I hated my body, which turned in hating the person that I was, which spilled off into me as a mother, a daughter, a friend, a spouse, and none of that goes back to how I wanted to feel. And so again, looking at how the industry has conditioned us, I know that this is a radical thought process. I know that this is radical. However, what I know to be 100% true is that when we can come at this from a place of, well, how do I actually feel about this? And not surface level feel, like, is the wind blowing in my direction? Is this something that just excites me? Because I also want to be clear, in order to make a transformation, sometimes we have to be willing to show up and do the thing, even when we're not super excited to do it. That's why this work that I'm giving you here is so important. Because if you actually sit with this and are able to actually decode what is meaningful, what feels good, how you want to feel, what you're ready, willing, and able to do, what you do and you don't want to experience, then you have that clarity. So on the day that you maybe aren't super motivated to show up for your goal, you can remind yourself of the time that you sat down and did this work and you truly had clarity around, this is why this is meaningful. This is why I do want to feel this way. And then you can know that you're motivating yourself, that you're urging yourself to show up from a place of compassion, from a place of self-love, from a place of self-care. And that will start to shift everything for you. And so again, I want to encourage you, if you were anything like me, and you've spent years, you've spent summers, you've spent seasons punishing your body to fit into the swimsuit, the shorts, the tank top, the dress, the whatever, and that hasn't worked, indulge me for a minute and try to come at it from a place of this is how I want to feel. And see if that reflection doesn't start to come out on the outside. Because I know it did for me. And I know it's done that for dozens and dozens and dozens of my clients. Again, I understand. This is not popular, right? But I also want to remind you that if what you've been doing hasn't been working, and you try this for a season, if you don't like it, you can always go back to the other way. But I'm really confident that you'll stay here because it's a pretty awesome place to be. And for those of you that are parents, that are moms, that are friends, that are partners, I can also tell you that by changing my relationship with myself, my goals, my habits, and my behaviors, immediately transformed my relationship with other people, immediately changed how I showed up as a mom, how I showed up as a spouse, how I showed up as a friend, how I showed up as a coach. But you know, that was my evolution. And so as you start to visualize, and I'm going to emphasize that, and I'm actually, for those of you, I'm very science brained. So I do want to throw that out there. But for those of you that have a brain similar to mine, I am going to throw out some psychology science on that. But as you start to visualize what this plan looks like in action, this is a really powerful step. This really transformed how I planned, prepped, did anything. I want you to get really clear on the experience that you want to create for yourself. I want you to get really clear on how that experience is meaningful for you. I also want to call out, because I know many of you are moms, that this can be a little bit challenging. And so I want to invite you to connect the dots to how you showing up for this goal that's meaningful for you, it's also meaningful for your family. Because while I firmly believe that we do have to pour into ourselves in order to pour into others, I also fully recognize that it can be a little bit easier to step our foot in the pool if we can connect it to how it directly influences our family. Again, you need to show up for yourself, but recognizing how this directly trickles into your family can be something that shifts you from this is taking too much time, I'm too selfish, into this is a must for me. And so visualization sounds a little woo-woo, but visualization is used by many professional sports leagues, right? Many professional athletes, Olympians, will sit there and they'll visualize their sport, their game, their strategy, so that they can start to feel it in their body. And so the interesting piece about feeling in our body, so you don't need to go read this. It's a really long book, but it's one of my favorite books. It's called The Body Keeps a Score. And so The Body Keeps a Score is about how, you know, we have traumatic experience and things like that, and the body holds on to these things. But in a nutshell, the body knows way before we know up here. And while we love to think that there's some disconnection between our thoughts and our physical body, we know the gut-brain axis directly influences one another. So that's why our gut health will influence what's going up here. So brain fog, fatigue, things like that, and how anxiety and things like that will directly influence digestion and our gut health, so on and so forth. So there is no separation. Whether you want to believe it on an emotional level or actually a scientific physical level. There is no disconnection. And so this visualization practice can actually take what's up here and help you embody it into the actual physical container that's going to act out this plan, this strategy, if you will. And so being able to visualize this, again, science brain, logical brain, I love to write things out. How many people have written things out and then never done anything with it ever again? I'll keep my hands up because that's me. But this helps us to actually get in touch with, okay, is this actually something that I want? Is this actually something that's doable? Is this actually something that is meaningful? Is this actually something that's helpful? And so this is something that I want you to explore as you're setting the goal, as you're, going through this do-don't list, is to actually close your eyes and visualize what this looks like. What does this look like on Labor Day? What does this feel like on Labor Day? How have you shifted who you are as a human being by Labor Day? And then you can take it into a little bit more tangible as we start to look at things day by day. And this is a little bit stretchy, a little bit hairy for people that like to have clear-cut plans, right? But one of the fun pieces of summer is it's carefree. There's whimsy. There's opportunity to shift with the waves. And so we have to be flexible to that in order to stick to our goals. Because here's what happens when our goals and our plan is super rigid, then we get stuck. Do I stick to the plan or do I abort plan and I go over here? And so by allowing flexibility with our plan, solidifies our success. And so for those that feel the need to plan 7 days in advance, I applaud you. It's definitely a great habit to have. But for a lot of you, that's not super realistic, sustainable, or exciting this time of year. And so utilizing a 24-hour plan is much more realistic, much more doable. And the thing about this, which is super fun, is when you have this 24-hour plan, doesn't seem that hard up here. Again, brain sending warning signals. It's like, oh, this is just 24 hours that I have to stick to this plan. Got it. And then you check a win. And what happens when we win? That's motivating to do the next win and the next win and the next win. And then all of a sudden, you've created a plan for every day of the summer and you accomplish them all. And how does that feel as a momentum driver when it's Labor Day? And so some of you that are listening to this are saying, well, how's that going to help me lose 20 pounds? And again, I want you to step back and shift your perception, because I'm not giving you strategy. I'm not giving you a specific weight loss strategy, but let me help you connect the dots. By showing up for yourself for whatever your goal is, for however many days you want to count your summer, it 100% helps you get closer to that 20-pound weight loss goal. Because here's what takes you further away. Setting a self-defeating goal that you maybe stick to for a couple of weeks, not paying attention to anything for the summer and feeling like you have to start over on Labor Day. Maybe you gained 5 pounds over summer, which in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty much nothing. But when you're coming into summer saying, I need to lose 20 pounds, need to change my relationship with food, need to learn how to do X, Y, and Z, then we come out of summer into Labor Day. Now it's 25 pounds. I didn't do anything to help me start with the 20 pounds, and I'm already behind the 8 ball. So what would it change if you do have a weight loss goal? If you woke up Labor Day and said, I didn't gain a pound. I proved to myself that I can show up for what I say I'm going to show up for. I nourished my body over the summer. I made amazing memories. I felt confident in my body. I was excited. How would that shift your 20-pound weight loss goal? How would that lay the foundation to say, oh my gosh, I can accomplish anything. I just did this over the summer. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to visualize realistically, okay, here's my goal. So I said I was going to keep it vague, but just for strategy perspective, I want to give, this is actually from a real life client. So I'm not going to even make anything up. To just hit a protein goal. No tracking. We're not counting every bite. We're not weighing things. But from her perspective, she knows what her protein goal means to her, for her health, for her satisfaction, for many, many things. And so that's one of her goals over the summer. And so visualizing, okay, this is how I'm actually going to accomplish that. All right, if then, so an if then plan, that didn't work out, what's my backup, essentially? And essentially visualizing how it's going to feel at the end of that 24-hour period to be able to say, I accomplished this, right? And so for some of you, you still are going to have the tendency, I'm just going to call it out and normalize it. You're going to have the tendency to say, well, here's a 24-hour period where I can go to the gym. I can also go for a run. I can, eat 3 salads and blah, blah, blah. But pausing to visualize and sitting with, how does this feel? Is this exciting? Does this make me feel good? Does this make me feel nourished? Does this make me feel well cared for? Right? One of the big things that I've been talking about a lot is the idea that being confident is a choice. And once again, I understand that in an industry that's conditioned us to believe that confidence comes with a size number or a scale number or something like that, it's super unpopular to really just wrap our minds around the truth. The confidence is an emotion. A confidence is a state of being. And I will tell you that nothing breeds more confidence than the trust you build within yourself. And so when we're creating plans, when we're creating strategy, every decision we make is either building or breaking trust with ourselves. And so another big piece of this is looking at, are you building a bank of evidence for how the goal you set, the results you want, the life you desire is not possible? Are you building proof, evidence, trust that it 100% is? And again, in an industry that has conditioned you to fail, it has conditioned you to fail. It's uncomfortable to lean into the other side, right? But when we look at visualizing something that feels good, something that feels exciting, something that feels enjoyable, something that feels somewhat effortless, we're creating goals, we're setting plans that we want to show up for. And so what happens when we actually show up for the things that we say we want, the things that we plan for, the things that we say that we're going to do, we're always building trust with ourselves. And I know for a fact that a lot of you are listening to this right now because you feel like you don't trust yourself to follow through with your goals. You don't trust yourself around food. You don't trust yourself to stick with a fitness regimen, whatever. There's a lot of lack of trust in the audience that is listening to me speak right now. And so, in fact, if there's anything that you can take away from this session, I want you to take away this piece: setting goals, creating plans, visualizing the plan. How is that going to change the way you trust yourself, the way you trust your body, the way you speak to yourself, right? How would it change from, I knew you couldn't do it, to, see, told you you could? How would that change your confidence level? Every decision that we make, every choice that we make is either building or breaking trust with ourselves, and confidence is a choice. And once you choose confidence, it's like a little seed, you've got to water it. And not the way I water plants, which is randomly. You got to water it, you got to nurture it daily. So setting these 24-hour plans, how are you going to accomplish this? And the last piece, which again, probably figuring out all these puzzle pieces are very much intertwined, is momentum with your memories. And so the huge thing is here is all or nothing thinking is really tricky, right? It comes up in all kinds of ways and we're like, I didn't know that was you, but there you are again. Because we have this perception that you're either creating momentum towards your goal, again, 20-pound weight loss goal, just throwing that out there. And so perhaps this is a journey that you started on months ago. Perhaps you're even a little bit nervous about what's going to happen in the coming weeks. Worked so hard, maybe you lost 10 pounds. Worked so hard, this can't come back on. This can't come back on. And again, going back to that last piece, there's an element or lack thereof of self-trust, right? Never been able to do this before. I've got more evidence supporting that I can't than I can. And so this just perpetuates this all or nothing thinking. Ooh, kind of want to go to that thing. Can't really do that because it's really going to mess up what I've been accomplishing. And here's what happens. Here's the interesting thing about us as adults. We think that we outgrew the toddler tantrums. We never did. We never did. This is an analogy I like to share with my clients. It's like taking a toddler into a store, them asking for something, and you telling them no. It's all they want. It's all they want. And so ultimately, because our brain actively seeks pleasure and comfort, fun, you may say no to a couple of things, and then you're going to have that battle like, oh, I hate myself for doing that. I hate that I have to eat this way. I hate that I have to show up for this workout. Alarm bells in your brain like, oh, this is dangerous, right? This is making us uncomfortable. We don't like it. And so it ultimately winds up is what I call a trip to Epic Land. And it happens every single time. This is not unique. This has nothing to do with a character flaw in you. This has nothing to do with your willpower. This has nothing to do with how disciplined you are. This has nothing to do with how bad you want it. This is just psychology. It's all or nothing, right? And so this is where this shows up. Shows up on vacation. I either have to take every Tupperware in my house filled with meal prep food that's been weighed and counted and tracked and all that, or I'm just going to eat whatever I want. There's no middle ground. But there is a middle ground. And so when it comes to looking at, I've already laid the seeds for this concept throughout our entire chat this evening. When it comes to continuing that momentum, or again, perhaps you're listening to that and saying, gosh, I wish I had so much momentum to build on. It's not too late. It's never too late. You can start right now and saying, I have momentum from today on, from this minute on. But again, if we're real with our goals, we get really clear on the ready, willing, and able. Go back through those questions. Get really clear on your do, don't. Probably on your don't list is that you don't want to miss out on these memories. Probably on your do list is you want to enjoy time with your family, feeling guilt-free. And the thing that we fear around this is that you fear if you allow yourself to enjoy something, then it means that you'll lose control. And our brains crave control. And here's a surefire recipe for lack of control, is to feeling like you need to control everything. The interesting thing is, while we fear it, because again, recognizing that this is stepping way outside of our comfort zone and leaning into that self-trust, what if you learn to trust yourself to enjoy the food, but not overindulge, to enjoy the things that matter? And then if you have a nutrition protocol that you're already on, maybe your next meal is right back on it. Maybe your family decided to go on a day excursion on vacation. You plan to work out. And you trusted yourself to just move it to tomorrow. What if? Again, asking yourself, has fear served you in the past? And that's a trick question because the answer is yes. In some way, shape, or form, fear, scarcity, lack, these old patterns have served you. And we can recognize that and be at peace with that. And also recognize that you need new ones. You need new thought patterns, new belief systems that serve you better, that serve the version of you that you are becoming. And so again, whether you have momentum that you're carrying on from the spring, from January 1st, whatever that looks like, maybe you've been on a journey for over a year now. That's amazing. The more fear you attach to that, the more likely you're going to spin out. Lean into creating that plan of self-trust, building that self-trust, building evidence for what is possible. If you are deciding right now that you're moving forward with momentum and creating those memories, spend some time. Get really clear on what matters to you this summer. Get really clear on what is meaningful for you this summer. Get really clear on what you don't want to experience and what you do want to experience. And then once again, you have to lean into that self-trust. And again, coming from experience, it's really scary. It's really uncomfortable. But you also need to ask yourself, how comfortable are you right now? How comfortable would you be waking up on on Labor Day and not have accomplished your goal, right? How uncomfortable would it be to say no to that and yes to another yo-yo cycle? And if you're truly comfortable with where you are right now, then that's fine. Be willing to stand in that, be confident in that, and move forward from that place. But if you've previously found yourself missing out on memories, feeling guilty, feeling shameful, feeling the effects of the yo-yo, being tired, being drained, bloated, frustrated, overwhelmed, I want to invite you to try something different this year. And so I've given you a lot this evening. I'm giving you a whole lot. Fully recognize that. I would love for you guys to sit with some of these prompts, with some of these questions, to really dig in to these goals, to really dig into the experience that you want for your health, your body, and your future from these next few weeks to months. I totally believe in what is possible for you. And if this is something that feels really scary, really uncomfortable, and you want support, we're still enrolling folks in the Strong for the Summer program. We start on Monday. I'm super stoked I know that there's some women that are already enrolled that are watching this. Super stoked to be able to hold space, to allow you to be seen, to help you move through the discomfort, the friction, the resistance, and to wake up on Labor Day and feel exactly how you said you wanted to feel. Maybe even better. Wouldn't that be awesome? So I'm going to leave this recording up. Let me know as you watch the replay. Let me know what resonates with you. Let me know what comes up with you, for you. Let me know how this feels. And I cannot wait to chat with you all again soon. Hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday night. I will see you again soon.